So, good morning, Fran.
Hi, Lesley. How lovely to have you in my studio.
I am absolutely thrilled to be in your beautiful studio. And it was such a beautiful drive here.
Good. It's a beautiful time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, in West Sussex. It is a really beautiful time of year. The trees.
There's some very special.
The colours are just stunning, and the way they are kind of hanging. They talk about the hanging trees of Sussex, don't they?
I didn't hear. I hadn't.
Have you heard about that? Yeah, they talk about the hanging trees, and that was the feeling I got. Do you? Is that what inspires you? Is that where you get a lot of inspiration?
From the colours and the trees
and the nature.
Well, funny you should ask, because actually I've been drawing in charcoal of the holly trees that we have here at home, which I've walked past for many, many decades. And suddenly this summer I thought, oh, those are amazing. And we've debated, they might be about 200 years old. Wow. And I've started taking drawings of them. And then strangely, when I went up to Norfolk recently to visit my mother, and I found some similarly ancient ones, and they had engravings in them. And we don't know if they're like recent or if they're 1913 or whatever it is. But so that's those haven't come into my painting yet. But you can see on the walls that they're all there, and that's
so
very important.
This work over here.
Yeah, these are all ancient, and some of them are done with wonderful homemade charcoal that Mark Austin sent me.
Ah, yes. So another pure artist.
Absolutely beautiful to work with. And then I've done them on different backgrounds because, I like experimenting with different backgrounds. And I've reused bits of previous artwork, like this is on top of an ink painting that I did. So I don't know how those are going to come out yet, but the trees are, because I walk a lot as well. I often take a sketchbook. Yeah.
So you're very experimental, aren't you?
I love experimenting. I love an inquiry. I can't, once I'm in here, I've been in the studio a lot recently. I just can't. Yeah, you go to sleep, wake up next morning and think, oh, I could do that. And it leads on all the time. You're pulled along by what you could do.
Are you led by the materials as well as the ideas that you pick up?
I think a bit of both, actually. Yeah, but it's the actual doing, using your hands, and then you think, I think it's a bit like Julia mentioned. You can't help it, but it just, and something comes through from the subconscious, which you probably have been thinking you might use for ages and haven't used. That makes sense.
Yeah. So things start as an idea, and then you start to find previous work and you start drawing over it. And then how does the inspiration evolve from there?
Well, I do a lot of sketches or studies. I don't know, and some of them I think are finished works in themselves. But this summer I went to France to visit my daughter, and these are photographs I took when I was there of some shadows of a cafetiere. I was like, what is that? So I took the photo, and so these are all shadows, and this is me and her, and this is my recent body of work. It has led to so many investigations. So I like the layout on that background. I mean, I can move it around if I like, but I've stuck with the fact that this little thing goes really nice with the upside down chair. And so I've recreated it in charcoal, paints on previous work.
So this is a painted version of that.
Of that, yeah. And using the burgundy that I found, which actually is part of my branding on my website. And I really like it. And I've actually used burgundy in the corner here as well. I don't know, Kate, you can see that. So this is just some paper that I had, sticking more drawings on top of it. So it's all the same thing. And I don't quite know at which point you decide, well, if it's finished or if you finish with the subject. But this subject has given me a lot of different inspiration. And having had a look at them, I then often draw using very, very long paint brushes or a stick with a bit of charcoal on the end. I put something down on the ground, and that's how these happened. I was looking at this original source, and I just took bits out, so they've already become very, very abstracted. And
well, you've got some fluorescence in here.
well, that was me trying to recreate the shadow, because it was weird. The cafetiere made that pinkness, which I really liked.
Yes.
And I used an actual paint that I have that does that. But also, I love, this is also on top of some acetate, which has got a mark on already. I mean, I could see each of these could individually become a painting. And then once again, because these were abstracted, it becomes behind you very abstracted. So that is a canvas. I don't know if that's finished, but that's on top of another canvas. So you can't necessarily recognise anything there, but you get this funny little figures.
Yeah.
And do they come from there or not? They suddenly jump onto the stage.
Yeah, you've got like a whole new series of characters arrived in the conversation, haven't you? And then down to this piece here.
Well, this is very recent. I've decided I do collage normally with paper, but this is collage with my own linen fabric, using the same templates as here. And so I've done a dark background, and I do these, and I started painting these on the floor using a very long handle stick. I was a bit annoyed because I thought that was too big, so I had to cut that off, and then so I became a bit particular sometimes. Being so loose, it's strange. I'm like, no, that's not quite right. It's annoying me. So, and yes, I mean, maybe this has become a whole series. Who knows?
Yeah. You love these dark colours, don't you?
I do rather like it. Well, I think it shows up quite well. And what I particularly like is the investigations I've done into the patterning, which is what was made by the cafetiere.
Yeah, they're quite Aboriginal, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was meant to go on a painting course recently, but having caught COVID, I had to work here in the studio. But one of the preparation of the painting course, I wrote about the work I've been doing, and I actually questioned at the end if maybe I'm just going to do the patterns. Forget any of these people, but it's just going to become patterning. And you see there's another one behind you. It's just trying to decide what.
Yeah, so your inspiration starts, as you say, with just this one, this series of simple shadows, which is something you've been investigating for quite a long time. But then you abstract it, and you take all the different materials to it and the different colours, and all of a sudden you end up with something that is completely abstracted, a series of patterns. So then you were going to go to this course you're saying with Nick Bodyme.
Yeah, well, I prepared 12 images of work I'd done, some of which I've done much more since then, and I wrote down what my inspiration had been.
You're going to read that to us? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, my inspiration stems from shadows of ourselves. That's me and my daughter, chairs, literally cafetiere. I couldn't think of the word for cafetiere, coffee, and railings, which are actually here. On stairs. Notice when I travelled to Burgundy to stay with my daughter in July, I've grouped and separated the original photos, replicating them in graphite and acrylics on different backgrounds. Some of these on top of repurposed drawings, which is another big thing, or prints. And the final photo here, I've added some shadows that I found in the newspaper. So this is my photograph, but then I saw that in the newspaper, and it just resonated.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking those further into
they're like your mystery people that arrive.
Yeah. And these are both on repurposed things at the time. But I've actually ended up with a large. Oops. So I like to think that might end up. Well, you just don't know how it's going to end up. It's what you keep and what you don't keep.
As you say, it comes down to this series of patterns that are quite. Aboriginal. They've got quite they're
quite important.
Yeah, they've got this kind of earthiness, but also this historicalness about them as well.
And then because I've been clearing my studio, I've got masses and masses of frames, and I found that quite useful to look at it with an actual border.
Yes,
because you can actually decide that.
I love that.
Maybe I only want a bit of it, or maybe. And of course, these are two separate bits of paper.
But you say they're shapes, but the minute you put that on,
isn't that lovely?
You've got two faces.
Yeah. You have. Yeah.
It's a mystery. You know, our brain tries, that's what our brain does, isn't it? It tries to make sense of the patterns. It looks at things and tries to make them things that, how do I recognise this? What can I say about it? But and the luminescence as well, as soon as you pick that up and it catches the light.
Well, that's the paints.
Yeah,
the
look
pink.
at that. It's amazing.
Which, of course, is what, going back to the original.
Yeah.
So it's, I still feel myself excited. I don't know if I'm going to end up with lots of finished work or whether I'll just keep doing studies, but it's pulling me along still.
Mm. And that's often what happens with your work, isn't it? Is that you're like Park Life, that you went through and through and through, and you made, 10, maybe more, and several of them along the way you went, oh, I think that is a finished piece.
Yes, yeah.
But you're the artist, you decide what's finished.
Yes, well, I think become more confident. I mean, I've certainly, having, knowing I was going to be into the studio, I've done a lot of clearing in here, a lot. And, you know, I think since all the lockdown projects, it's good just to get on with it and start using my paints again. I've got a lot of paints to use. I still seem to be stuck with the dark colours, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
You've got a lot of these just look amazing. What are these?
Well, these are oil. Well, these are oil pastels, which actually were a gift from my daughter. And these I bought in Cornelis about 20 years ago. I love them. These are oil sticks. I don't like the oil sticks so much, but the oil pastels, you can just do you can just make a wonderful.
Yes.
And then, of course, it kind of repels the acrylic if you're trying to put acrylic on top. And actually, this has become a bit pressure. But I use that to make this white, because I think this is very important, this shape here, because it's back to shapes and patterns, I think, really.
Yeah, they create a resist, don't they?
They do. And then you can put acrylic on top and then you can scratch through again and you get, So
you have to be comfortable with messy, is what I would say.
I'm very comfortable with messy. Because apparently as a kid, the lady who looked after me used to change my clothes every so often because I never got dirty. I'm making up for it.
You're making up for it. I'm comfortable with messy. And look at these amazing brushes as well.
They're lovely.
So have these got history?
They're
almost an artwork in themselves, aren't they?
I just honestly can't think where I got these from. But recently, I bought those in France this summer because I think they're actually for painting and decorating. But I got another shape like that I bought in Denmark. And the reason I bought it is on here. It says made in France.
Oh yeah, Fabrique en France.
And there's another one I've got similar shape, which was made in Denmark. And you think. And, my friend says, well, why do you want that? I said, well, it's made in Denmark and I'm in Denmark.
And I'm an artist.
And
then you've got these lovely...
These ones that I made, the Lorna Crane online course, which actually I could use. I mean, now I'm starting to pick them up again. I can see myself using these on this, actually. And they make all sorts of weird marks. So she suggested using it with ink, but you could use it with ink, with acrylic as well. Yeah, as well. And there's actually, I'm trying to think what she calls them. This one, I've made a huge one in the corner over there. This, you do this with. Like a whip. You dip it in the ink and you go like that and it splatters everywhere.
You really are comfortable with messy, aren't you?
I'm very comfortable with messy, yeah. But the other thing that I
love this as well, because only an artist would think to decorate the handle.
Well, they're meant to be. I don't know why I haven't got them hanging up. You see,
hang them up.
I actually got a nice hook. I put This is very nice. So this is because I love working wet as well, and this is a very soft sort of goat head brush.
Oh, gorgeous.
I can't remember where I got them all from, but they are a bit historical now. Try and keep them clean so I can keep using them.
And then you've got palette knives here as well.
Yeah, the palette knife.
Oh, look at that one. Look at that.
Yeah, you can see they've been used. I still quite like that one best of all, I think. I don't know. I don't seem to get on so well with that one. I know a lot of people use that. And I know, and this, they're a bit too big, but this one I really like because you can actually, you've got an edge there and an edge there. Yeah.
And a spoon.
Yeah, the spoons. I have to be careful I don't put this in the coffee jar.
Yeah.
That's quite good. I'm sure that was a cooking one, but it's come out of the kitchen.
It's transitioned.
Yeah, it's transitioned
Across into here. Oh, that's absolutely. I mean,
oh, and this one
so
is great.
inspiring.
This, I can't think where that came from. Funnily enough, this actually doesn't make very large marks, but it's quite useful to.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to hold very much.
Stippling.
Yeah.
No, beautiful. This look at the luminescence on here. It's
This
like
is a
copper.
Purdy brush. Purdy are fabulous brushes. I think I might have got that in the local DIY place.
So all of these, you kind of, while you're working, you have all of these around you all the time.
Well, that's the thing. I do often work on the floor. I don't seem to work on an easel. A friend said so I'm off on the table here, and then I can reach them quite easily, and all of the paints and things.
All the paints over here and everything as well. Absolutely amazing. So this is what you're going to be working on now, and you're going to carry on working on this until you feel like you've got.
I think I didn't quite finish writing.
Reading. Carry on reading.
My ambition and hope for the 3 days that I was going to do is to abstract my source material more onto paper and maybe canvas or board. I thought I'd actually written down that maybe I'll just stick with just the pattern. I might just leave out the people.
And you had a canvas on the table here when we came.
Well, I was wondering
canvas.
if I might have. I'm hoping that I might actually paint on that, and I.
Is that your linen, or have you bought that?
It's one I bought.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that I would paint that onto there. But of course, the minute you transfer it, it sort of loses and gains.
Loses and gains. Yeah, absolutely.
But actually, what I found, knowing you were coming to talk to me, I actually found myself unusually. That's been really useful, preparing for the course that I couldn't do, and then seeing you here, I've started doing planning.
Planning, good.
Scale, pattern, shape of canvas and or paper, what to include, what to leave out, chair upside down or both. This is the chair. How many paintings can you get from the same subject? Who knows? How long is a piece of string? Really?
You just keep going.
Yeah. And I like the odd edge, the space round here. Also like the actual photo surrounds, which is what I was trying to create using the fabric there.
Yes. Yeah. So this idea, the dynamic, the empty
it's
space.
Quite. I think Philip Edgerton works like that, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And I mean, intended, but I just put it up.
With the empty space, and I think Vincent Matthews as well is someone who likes the white space as much.
And it doesn't have to be dark necessarily. It seems to be dark because I was using what I had here.
So recycled materials, is that something that's important to you? Recycling, repurposing, reusing?
I like it because it's not a huge white bit of paper that scares me. Yeah. And you can't always see the painting there is on a print, and I can see the print which went across it. So, and it's quite nice because it also gives you unexpected little gifts, like here. This was on there previously, and I thought, well, I could incorporate that. I could recreate that somewhere else.
Yeah. So it gives you more.
It gives you more unexpected. That's the bliss about working in the studio with concentrated time and just, just things start. Yeah, I suppose you give and take. You don't realise it. It's just amazing. Because you suddenly think, I could do that. I think you have to stop yourself sometimes.
So in the studio, do you have dedicated studio time?
Not really. I would like it to be more of a regime. But I thought with being ill, I could come in here, but I could only do. I was fine in a way, but I couldn't really concentrate so much.
Yeah, you weren't well.
But I did a lot of work before that, being ill, and I've just found I've just popped in and out, put the heating on, and then you come in and think, I can. So there was a bit of planning without. Just
Did you lose time then when you're in here?
Yeah, definitely.
So you come in for half an hour and then find you've been in here for several hours. It goes dark because you're in the most beautiful spot overlooking the garden.
I can't look out. Well, I've got one door I can look outside.
You've blanked that one off. Overstimulation could definitely be a thing.
That's true. This is true.
Thank you, Fran,
You're
so
welcome.
much. It's absolutely brilliant, fascinating. I've loved to just see all of, especially all the bits of inspiration around you, the tools and everything, and then how you kind of work through that process in your mind.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking about it.
Ah.
Yeah, loved it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can see all about Fran in the magazine, on her page in the magazine, and I think you're going to share that on social media, aren't you?
I'm going to, yes.
Yes.
Now I've mastered Canva, I'm going to share it on social media.
Yeah, so Canva is a thing.
Yes.
And you've got a newsletter as well, so you're going to share it in your
And
newsletter.
Linktree.
And Linktree. Yes, you've been a very good student. Because there's no point having an amazing practice like this and no one knows it's going on. So you have to share it.
Yeah.
You have to share it.
That's true.
But in a way that's congruent with you.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and doesn't overwhelm you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.